Warning, if you're faint of heart or easily offended, this show is not for you.
This is so cool. We finally get a vlogger on our show, and I can't wait to give you, some help and pointers to get your vlog almost as popular as mine.
Thank you.
Mariano, I'm sorry, buddy. Listen, I'm starting to... You're out of your mind, and I'm starting to possibly believe that it's not an act. Anyways, this is the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. This is Valerie Brill, and we are here with Mariano. Let's go. Mariano.
Either
so
or, yeah.
We've had this talk before.
What does your mom call you?
Mariano.
I like Mariano.
Right. So back, all my uncles and aunts, if there was a Mario, it's Mario. The Italians say they pronounce it's crazy,
really?
Right? Yeah. So if someone's name is Mario, my Italian uncles will be like Mario. So it's hard for me to remember to call you Mariano.
Yeah, it's all.
But you
good.
don't care.
No, I don't mind either way. And I just realized you must be Italian, right? Vertucci.
You just realized it now.
Yeah, just now.
Nothing gets by you, bro. That's amazing. How did you put that together?
All right.
Are you gonna you have a future in maybe law enforcement?
Yeah,
or something.
Absolutely.
Investigations. Yeah. No, Vertucci. That is definitely a little bit Italian.
Right.
Yeah. So
I thought maybe Middle Eastern or something, but
oh wow, yeah. No.
Yeah, I got that too. I got that
Middle
vibe too.
Eastern,
Middle Eastern vibe,
where in the Middle East would you put me if you didn't know Vertucci was my last name?
I don't know. It's just like the Let Freedom Ring thing seemed like kind of not very American.
No, so I'm American or Middle Eastern?
No, it didn't seem very American.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
Got it. Okay, I got it. I'm here. Okay, so we have. Are you Spanish?
Yeah, Argentina.
Argentina. So you're Argentinian. Mm-hmm. We have a Polak, and
that's
and a
where
WAP,
I was born.
and a WAP.
Oh.
So
cool. There we go.
Yeah, there we go.
But you haven't left America.
I haven't. This is like a United Nations meeting. So let's see what we can figure out, fix, and maybe fuck up.
So Mariano, all jokes aside, your vlog is amazing. Anyone I talk to, any of my high stakes friends, I'm like, who do you love to watch vlog? And they're like, Mariano, for sure.
Oh, nice.
I've watched many of your vlogs. You've got a really good method to what you're doing. Talk to me about the evolution of who you are as a vlogger.
Okay, yeah. It's actually funny you say that I have a good system or whatever, because the next video that's coming out is totally different from that system. So
just decided to throw the wrench in the wheel.
It might flop, completely flop. But to answer your question, I started off with Andrew Nemi as my main inspiration, which I think is apparent in a lot of my videos. And since then, I've just been finding my own path that I like to do videos in. And about a year ago, I got a system that I really enjoyed, which was just talk for a little bit, go in there and play some cards, and then talk a little bit after about how it went, put it all together with some music and some footage, and that's it.
And it works.
And what's the new approach, or is it a secret that we're going to find out?
No, it's not a secret at all. In fact, it'll probably be out before this vlog or this podcast. So the new approach was, and I think you saw him there, Nick, was my editor Joey was at Hustler the last time that I played on there. So what I wanted to do this time was, instead of me filming an intro and an outro and then include the hands in the middle, I wanted more of a behind the scenes approach. So Joey came with me and brought all his camera gear and stuff, and he sort of just followed me around for 2 days.
Oh, I think that's going to be really good. I mean, I could be wrong, but that's people like seeing the behind the scenes stuff prior to getting in the game, playing that hand. Yeah.
Yeah, and I got the inspiration from a few different channels that I watch. There's a bodybuilding channel and also a chess channel that I enjoy, and they did that approach where instead of just talking about, the main act, if you will, which is for example, a chess game, they talk about the preparation and going into the venue, going through security and all these things that, as a fan of high stakes poker myself before I ever played on streams, that was something I was curious about,
Yeah.
So I even Joey filmed me going into the cage, going into the private cage and getting chips and and miking up.
Oh, they'll love that.
Meeting people like before the stream starts and like after the stream, you know. So yeah, it's more inclusive, and I think it'll be a fun approach.
You know what's funny is sometimes people say like when like something you saw is working and you liked and you're kind of duplicating it, right? And a lot of people say, oh, you know, like, you know, they've even jammed me for having like the wood up, which I didn't do on purpose. My producer, Clint, and his team actually put this up. I didn't know what the look was, but we had a general feeling. And then my logo is round, so is Joe Rogan. So it's like, oh, you're copying whatever. But no, but at the same time, and I wrote that in my book, is like, there's such a power in duplication, because if something's working, how I always say it is duplicate and then perfect. So what you want to do, like you're doing, is try something that's working and then just make it you and make it better. So I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, I think roasting people for like duplicating someone who's doing something great is just kind of ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know, like Kobe always tried to mimic Jordan, you know, to use an extreme example, and like it obviously worked out for him.
And you're trying to be baby Garrett. We're going to talk about that later too. So, but we're not there yet.
Yes, I've heard people call you that. Actually,
so,
baby
we're
Garrett.
Not there yet.
Yeah. Who knows what that means? But yeah, maybe.
So I'm curious because I find like when I Andrew Nemi's a friend of mine, Brad Owen, you know, I run into him a lot, and like there's certain characteristics like Jamin Burton. Everyone to be a vlogger, I think you have to have a certain personality. You can't just edit videos well. Yeah. What do you think it takes to be a good poker vlogger? Because I feel like you seem like a nice guy, genuinely a nice guy, and I noticed that in Andrew Nemi and Brad Owen. Like, you can't come into a poker room and be like, "Don't talk to me." Right. Like, you're going to get attention now.
Yeah, and that was never something I like aimed for, but it does end up turning out that way. But yeah, about your question, like, what does it take? You know, I do think there are some things, but at the same time, the poker audience is so big. There's so many people who want to watch poker, that I think whatever your personality is, there's going to be like a niche for that, even within the poker environment. You know, there's like people who love, like Andrew, for example. And there's people who love Brad, and there's people who love Ethan, or people who like
Rampage.
Ethan, yeah. And there's people who like my stuff. And among all those people, you know, some of those will be like, oh, I can't stand one of those guys. You know, maybe me, I can't stand Mariano. Like, oh, his stuff sucks. He's so arrogant. He tries to copy Garrett all the time. Like, fuck that guy. You know?
Right.
And then there's people who like will say Rampage punts all the time. I don't want to watch him, whatever. But at the end of the day, like, everyone is doing well, you know, and I just think there's enough to go around.
The space is big enough, you think?
Totally. Yeah. I think that, like, for anyone who's thinking of starting a channel, like, trying to be something you're not is almost pointless, because whatever you are, you know, people will enjoy it, you know.
Yeah, there's going to be a spot for that person, because there's just going to be a market for it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's good.
Like, look at this show, and Nick hosted, and people watch this even. So, you know,
God, that's crazy. If that works, like you said, it's anything's possible.
Anyone can accomplish
it's
anything.
Somehow working.
This is an inspiration to anyone who wants to do anything. Yeah. So true.
Yeah.
So true.
Send us your love letters.
Yeah, it's like, guys,
send us letters on how you admire us.
But up. So
no, but jokes aside, this place is awesome.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot for having me. I should have started off with that.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, how old are you?
27.
That's so sick. I mean, because you're so young. I mean, that's not flirting with you. I'm just saying.
He is flirting. He told me he likes you.
Well, you know, I have a girlfriend, but we haven't been together too long. So as of now.
So as of now, yes.
It's only been, I think, 8 years with her. So we're working towards
you'll get there, bro.
Well, we held hands last week.
But steady.
Right.
Yes.
Good job on holding hands.
And when you finally get there, you'll really know each other.
Yeah, you know, I have high hopes. I'm taking her to the Cheesecake Factory
tonight.
Well,
at least it's not Chuck E. Cheese.
Well, yeah. So you know,
when you take
I'll
her,
update you.
Like, if you take her to the Cheesecake Factory, can she order anything, or is there a certain section?
Well, they have a happy hour.
Yeah.
And so it's a negotiation.
It's priced
for sure.
down. Yeah.
You know, a lot of it has to do with like how poker went for me during the week.
It was a downswing week. So,
And on that topic, all bullshit aside, how did you get into poker and then work your way like up to this point? Because listen, I almost want to say not too long ago, just kind of having you in my peripheral, we're playing at a certain stake. And now you've escalated up into the biggest games, and you're playing like you're playing in the biggest games, right? It's not like you can't tell when you're playing that you're playing over your head, so you're not. How did that, tell the people that are watching, how did that transition happen and happen so fast since you're like 12?
Well, real quick about by the way, my girlfriend's name is Megan.
Hi, Megan.
Shout out to Megan.
Yo, Megan.
There was a period where she did pay for my food for about 2 or 3 months.
Wow. So this chick likes you. So that's good. This is not where she's just like looking for a big timer.
No, although it is hilarious nowadays when I include her in vlogs, there's a ton of comments. Oh, gold digger this, gold digger that. Like there was a time where I was dead broke and she was like taking me to McDonald's.
Nice. Well, Andy got dumped after his 3-month downswing when we interviewed him. So
really?
Wow.
Yeah, you not getting dumped and you getting food bought for you. She's a keeper.
Wow.
She's a keeper.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, watch
Poor
the vlog.
Andy.
Watch the vlog. Now I'm calling it a vlog. Watch the show that comes out Monday. It's going to be, by the way, it's going to be Andy, but you don't know when we're doing this one. So,
but for an inspiration, you can watch my vlog.
So yeah, you got to let this girl just order what she wants. She's earned it.
Absolutely.
I dig it. Okay, okay, you're good.
Anything at the Cheesecake Factory.
You can get the crusted Romano chicken. It's really good. Go
Even
for
a
it.
glass of wine if she wants, right?
We'll see. Yeah. Glass of wine.
It's a little expensive.
So, anyways, tell us how you transitioned from where you were, how you got started, and how are you here?
So it kind of goes back to my college days. I went to Cal State Fullerton. What is that? 20 minutes from here?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yeah.
What were you taking? Because you mentioned that your college used these mics. Were you taking some sort of television?
Well, actually, at the time, I was studying business and economics at Fullerton, and my passion was always music production and engineering. So turns out they didn't really have that much of a program, if I remember correctly, with that. So I did a few years there, and then I went to Citrus College in Glendora because they have a specialized recording program for learning all this sort of stuff, but more like music tailored. So when I was in college, I developed an interest in poker just from I had a statistics professor. Actually, this started in like late high school, but anyway, there was always like math involved with poker. I felt like just drawn to it from like a psychological aspect, competitive math. It was just great, and I started watching Andrew Nemi on YouTube while I was in college. At the time, my only job was delivering pizzas. I worked at Pizza Hut for a long time.
Nice.
Shout out to Pizza Hut.
That's right.
What's your favorite Pizza Hut pizza?
How come they didn't patch you up and to advertise for him?
Yeah.
They paid me a ton to say that just now, so I'm good. But
my good for the rest of the year.
Favorite pizza, probably just standard pepperoni.
Oh, that's so basic.
I'm pretty boring.
I wanted more out of you.
Yeah, I'm here to disappoint.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was delivering pizzas all through college just to like have some money. My family we're like fine, maybe like middle class, but we were never like to the point where I just had like a free ride in college or anything like that. Like food was on me, gas was on me, and all that. So all the while I was watching Andrew Nemi and learning about poker and occasionally going to the Gardens to play that I think it was $1-300 max maybe, or $200 max.
Oh, that sounds so painful.
It was, but at the time I didn't know it because I thought it was the best thing on the damn planet.
It was the nuts, right?
It was awesome.
Why was it the best thing? What was the dynamic?
Just, I'll put it to you like this. If I worked at Pizza Hut for a whole day, let's say 10 hours, and I made $100 in tips, I was like on top of the world that day, So the fact that you could just go like play a card game, sitting in a comfortable chair, air conditioned, people bringing you drinks and food and such, and possibly win like 3 or 4 times that amount. Yeah, was like mind blowing to me. So once you broke your poker hymen, right? It was just it was on. It was on, man. The hymen breaking felt so great that that's rare. Usually it's it's in my case 50, it was different. 50. I wanted it to keep getting broken. So
it was so long ago. I don't even remember when mine did. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yours probably closed back up.
It's like 1973.
Yeah. It's like
I'm talking about poker, guys. Let's focus.
You change clothes and it's just like whatever. Who knows?
Why are you matching me?
I know, isn't that crazy?
Yeah, we didn't even talk about this.
But I don't have.
We're so in tune.
I should have cut okay.
Yeah,
go.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, as I approached like the end of college, Pizza Hut ended up letting me go, Terrible employee.
What? Pizza Hut?
What'd you do wrong? Did you eat all the pepperoni?
Who's your manager? Give us his name or her name.
I couldn't even tell you. I went through so many of them. I don't remember who was the manager.
But why? What did you do wrong?
I did a bunch of things wrong. I started like developing bad habits. I would call off often
to play poker.
Or at this time, I was also playing college soccer, which kept me busy a lot. So I already had like very little hours to work at Pizza Hut. When I did have time away from school and soccer, I wanted to go play or just relax.
Your heart wasn't in it.
My heart wasn't in it,
man. You knew
like,
you weren't going to be humping pizzas much longer.
It's probably a favor to you that they fired you.
100%. At the time, I remember thinking like, because I got the phone call. It was funny. It was during a World Cup match, the Soccer World Cup, which happened in 2018, I believe. And I was watching like a really important game to me at the time. It was Argentina versus France, I think. And I got the call, and my manager was like, hey, we got to let you go. Like, this isn't working out for like all these reasons. And I remember thinking like, I have like $600 in my bank account. And like the whole world just felt like it was like falling apart because I was like,
and this is 2018.
Right.
That's not long ago. I mean,
yeah, I guess
maybe for your age it is because it's like 30 your life, but generally speaking, that's what 5 years?
Yeah. 4 years ago.
4 years ago.
Like
that's crazy. But because but just the trajectory.
So it's hard for a dinosaur that has been around for centuries to grasp, what 4 years means to you.
Right.
That's like nothing.
Yeah, because he'll take a nap for 4 years.
That's right. I just woke up from 4 years ago, and here we are.
He's still wearing the same clothes and jeans and everything. Yeah. So yeah.
No, I could say the same about you, right? Like from 4 years ago, I've seen you play some hands, and things have changed.
I'm a little bit of a fishy.
I wouldn't say.
No, go ahead, spit it. What did you see? And then we'll go back to tell me what you saw from 4 years ago. Whatever, who cares? I talk about this.
I want to hear about this Pizza Hut firing.
Okay, we'll do that after. Do Pizza Hut.
I'm really invested in the Pizza Hut story.
We'll do Pizza Hut, and then we'll go back to like where we were 4 years ago.
We're normally a bit more organized.
No,
this is fun.
This is fair. Yeah, so I got the call, and I was devastated. I was watching the game with Megan at the time. It was just us. I went back inside and broke the news to her. And then Argentina ended up losing as well. So it was just a really shitty day. And I had a shift that day. Obviously I didn't go, got fired. And I remember sitting at home like what the hell do I do? And then I was like, I'll just go get a job at Domino. I was like, why am I acting like I lost some corporate position? Like I was just going to go down the street to some other pizza joint. But then like in the back of my mind, I was just thinking about like how badass is it that this dude in Nevada, talking about Andrew, like plays cards for a living and just hops around casinos and makes like YouTube videos. It's such a joke. Like, how can this be real?
Yeah.
Like
a dream.
It's a total dream.
Yeah.
And like, especially in my position at the time where like getting a job and recording was like not easy. And even if you did, it wasn't like extremely rewarding, like financially. So I was like, you know what? Like, instead of going and getting this other Domino's job, why don't I give it a shot? I got my $600 in the bank or whatever it was. Like, I'll double that up at the Gardens.
Like nothing.
Yeah, like I got this. So I spoke with Megan about it. I said I think I'm going to try to play cards and see if I can. And I remember I had this genius formula in my head because at the time I was making around with tips $15 an hour.
Wow.
At Pizza Hut.
So you're like, I can make 17 an hour as a poker player.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, look, I play 2-3. I need to make 5 big blinds an hour. And that'll be equivalent.
Yeah.
And I think I can win more than 5 big blinds
Anything from there is gravy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I was just like, I have this plan. I'm going to go, and every time I double up, I'm just going to leave.
Yeah.
That's it.
What a strat. Shoot, dude. No wonder you're so successful. That's so smart.
That a lot of us would make it so much further.
I'm just going to leave. Yeah, totally. Go on a heater, but don't go on it.
And I remember, Megan was like, that sounds really smart. Like, and I was like, I'm not going to be like these other crazy gamblers where they stay and they lose their winnings. Like, I'm just going to win. And everyone else is not.
It's so easy.
So, of course, 3 months later, or probably not even that, 3 weeks later, I lose my $600. I'm also terrible at poker at this point. Not saying I've gotten ridiculously better, but I was bad, right? Like, I don't know what's
But you didn't really know it.
I didn't really know it.
Like, looking back, give us a little description on like how bad you were.
You know what's funny?
For the poker nerds out there.
I would give ridiculous amounts of money to like have those hands back to be able to see them somehow. Because I didn't have a vlog at the time. And I can't remember hands from back then. But I just know it must have been garbage.
Yeah.
And I would love to like watch myself play those hands now just for
that
the
would be
LOLs.
pretty entertaining, wouldn't it?
But I mean,
unfortunately,
for example,
I have the videos.
I'll give you a very, very remarkable example, and I'll never forget this hand. This is how broke I was. About 2 weeks after I got fired, I was playing this hand at the Gardens. I moved up to 3-5 at this point because I doubled like twice or something.
Big deal.
Big deal.
Yeah.
I was playing 3-5, and I had aces, and the board read ace 9 4 4 3. Right? I got it. I bet about $200. This guy raises me to $600, and I have like maybe another $400 if I were to call his raise. And I remember thinking like, he's got to have quads, so I just call. And the guy turns over like a smaller full house.
Yeah, and
then
just
I
looked
turn
at
it
you.
over, and everyone at the table's like, "What are you doing, dude?" And I was like, "Oh, I like this guy." You know?
Yeah.
So then you admit that you're soft playing.
You're welcome.
Yeah, so then I didn't want to admit to anyone, but like that's just an example of like how clueless I was and broke and scared.
That's a great example.
Yeah, man. So anyway, fast forward like a month and I lost it all. I had like $0, and now I was like, I need to get a job. And this is the time that like Megan was like paying for my food. My parents weren't like doing super well at the time, like money wise, and I hadn't even told them that I got fired. Every time I left out that detail. Every time I was going to play, I was telling my parents I was at Pizza Hut.
And did your parents approve of poker? Because I have immigrant parents who still to this day, Veronica, you gamble.
Of course.
We no leave you no money when we die. You go to casino, you lose money.
Right. Yeah. I mean, now it's a little different, but my parents are also like very traditional in that sense. We're from, they have like European roots, and we're from like South America. Like, you work your ass off, and that's the end of story. Like, that's the way you live life. You work, you go to college.
You pray to God, and you die.
Pray to God, yeah.
Yeah, you stay within that box
right.
that tradition says to
yeah.
stay.
You don't bring shame to your family.
Of course. Which I'm not bashing at all, I think that approach is like, there's a reason it's been around for thousands of years. Like,
sure.
Family,
but it's not for everybody.
It's not for everybody, and I always felt sort of disconnected from like the norm in terms of like, approaching life and financial freedom and such. So, but I didn't have the balls to tell my parents, mostly because I didn't believe in myself at the time, really.
Yeah.
So how am I going to ask them to believe in me? So I just started lying, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to Pizza Hut, and I would get back at like 3 a.m, and my dad would be like, where have you been? And
lots of pizzas, Dad.
Lots of pizzas.
It's big sports weekend.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. And so for a long time, I didn't have the courage to tell my parents. Eventually, I let them know that Pizza Hut put me on leave, sort of, and yeah, so this was, long story short, I had no money, I had no job, I had a degree that no one really cared for, and so I called on Megan to like help me, and she did. She covered food expenses for a long time, and we hung out, and that was like my only source of like life is okay at the time. And then my best friend Joseph, who's been like, he's essentially like my brother. He's someone I've known since I moved to this country, pretty much, which was like 2002. So it's been 20 something years, I guess. Yeah. Wow. Anyway, he was like, hey man, look, like, if you want to try this poker thing, I'll lend you $500. And I was like, dude, I just lost it all. Like, why are you going to do that to me? And he was like, well, I could see that you really want to try it, and you want to keep trying it before you like go back to this Domino's thing. It was probably a terrible idea, but he thought he was being a good friend,
Right.
So I took this 500, and I went on a sun run at 2-3 at the Gardens. I ran it up to like 3K, easily the most money I'd ever had in my life. And at this point, I won a jackpot. That was a life-changing,
like a bad beat jackpot.
Bad beat jackpot.
What end were you on? The good end?
I was on the good end.
Wow.
By the way, another example of how scared I was to lose my money. I got raised. I have ace king. I got raised on ace deuce. I bet the guy raises. I just go all in. I'm scared of the bad beat. I want him to fold like ace queen in case the queen comes or something.
Ball and cringe, yeah. And
anyway, he had queens and he ended up calling.
And, it worked out for you.
Yeah, it worked out, and everyone was like, "Why did you go all in? What if he folded?"
I knew he was the type of player to overplay queens.
Yeah, exactly. I probably made some excuse. Right. Yeah, he's committed, or I don't know what I said, but in reality, I was just afraid that he would somehow beat my hand. But anyway, that it wasn't even big, but for me, it was huge. It like doubled my.
How much was the jackpot?
I got $5,000.
And you already ran it other thing up to 300 to 500 to 3,000. So you got 8,000 large.
He's talking about it though. I thought you were going to tell me you won like $80,000.
No,
it was 5,000.
5,000.
Oh, okay.
And I called my family. I called my parents.
I never get the bad beat jackpot.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, it's $5,000.
Yeah. This was actually at a San Manuel casino, which also had 1-3 at the time. That's where I was playing. And their jackpots aren't very big, if I remember correctly. I don't even think they have a poker room anymore. But anyway, so this was like life-changing. Now I'm rolled for any game on the planet. I have $8,000.
Did you pay Joe back?
Yes.
Good.
With interest.
Good. Nice.
Took him out to dinner, I think.
Nice. Yeah, like yeah. Cheesecake.
Cheesecake Factory, yeah. No, Pizza Hut probably, because he got a discount.
There you go, yeah.
It's funny. I remember like, I gave him a big hug and I was like, thanks, man. And I felt like I made it in life. And I was like, I'm only here because of you.
I'm only here because of you. I can't even buy a used Honda, but I'm here because of you.
But in his mind, he's peaking. This is the best thing that's ever happened.
It's all relative.
Exactly. It's all about like perspective and stuff, So yeah, since then I've been playing 1-3 and trying to move up, and thankfully I've never gone busto again. That's amazing.
That's unique.
Yeah.
I'll be honest with you, that is amazing.
It'll probably happen at some point, don't you think? Because you're playing bigger now.
Now that you said it, you jinxed yourself. But
I probably did, but no, like jokes aside, it'll probably never happen because I'll just never.
Because you're too good at this point.
No, he's just.
I'm too scared. Like I'll never put myself in a position.
You'll fold your quads just in case.
I'll just never play a game where like I can go busto, and I know that goes against a lot of like high stakes players because I know guys like Andy or Garrett have done things that are bankroll wise probably irresponsible.
Well, you have to shot take, right? Once in a while?
Which is what I do when this bastard takes me on his show.
Yeah. Yeah. There's been a lot of variance there for you while you've played ups and downs. Yeah.
Yeah. And I also like definitely play some of my worst poker when I'm on your show.
Why do you think?
Just the money. It's big for me.
It's big. Got it.
Yeah. Like I remember this hand where I played against you, and long story short, it's a hand that I would win almost every time, and I just didn't because I'm too afraid. And I think I mentioned it to you a little bit at the
Which hand was it?
It was one where we went like multi-way to a flop. I have 9-7 of spades. You have
we just played it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember it. Sure.
Suited. Yeah, it comes like queen, jack,
and
X.
then I bluffed because you checked.
Yeah. That's just the hand where like
bluffed with the best hand.
Yeah, you're just like, I'm always gonna have stronger hands than you usually, and it's just a position where like if I raise, it's gonna be very hard for you to call with like a ton of hands, and I beat your bluffs.
Correct.
Like, if you fold,
you did mention that right on the spot. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, but what if I'm wrong? Like,
I
have to raise to like $20,000. Like, so like that's just an example of when I'm on streams, big streams, I should say. I'm
Mariano,
shot taking, so
you took the hand with Francisco with the two ace king hands. You had queens. I mean, you were such a favorite, and it was so gross. But you did. I will tell you. I could tell you were like sick. Yeah. But you took it like a champ.
I feel like I could have taken it a little bit better.
No.
I did. I had like a little tantrum moment where I said something like, I can't remember exactly what, but it was something like, I never run good in this stupid place. Or something like that.
Oh my God, it was nothing. You said it with a smile on your face and told Francisco, great hand. No, that is, you're just being hard on yourself because you're trying to be baby Garrett.
I just feel bad because I look forward all week to playing on your stream. It's one of like, it's an honor to be there, and I know a ton of people want to play on there, and they can't for multiple reasons, and I'm on there regularly, and I'm bitching about losing a hand like it's just a bad look, and I wish I had.
Why didn't you seem scared the other time we played when you bombed on me like 3 times in a session, and you put me to that test where I had to call with 10s? Like, you didn't seem scared there when you put 40,000 in.
It's funny, like I have more money now, and I was more nervous this time around. I'm not entirely sure why. I think because it was a little bit closer against that hand with you.
Yeah.
Whereas I'm talking about the most recent one. It was a little bit closer, the decision, and I felt like the profitability of raising you on the river was very, it was marginal as to whether or not it's profitable. I would say we're splitting hairs. Whereas the previous hand, I was very, very confident that this was correct.
Got it.
So if I have full confidence that something is correct,
you're willing to put it in.
YOLO, but it's those close spots where I sort of pride myself.
Right, and it's only because you're playing up from your bankroll a little bit.
So,
yeah, if I'm playing 5. Sorry, go on.
No, I'm genuinely curious because as you're talking to me about these hands and talking about playing too high of stakes or being afraid or something, it's really vulnerable. I've noticed that you're open with your struggles and things that you're going through with poker.
Yeah.
And it probably resonates with your viewers. Is this something you had to learn to do, or have you always just been like this?
Yeah, not really something I think about.
Really? You're just naturally vulnerable.
Yeah, I guess. I'm not worried about it.
That's probably why your vlog works.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, the truth is just the truth, right? So.
Yeah, that's why you get
that's the best way
300
to go.
views. Yeah.
People really respect that. They really do. They respect it, even if it's totally self-deprecating and you mean it.
Yeah.
It's just the way to go. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and not to act like I'm some angel, if I'm very confident in something about myself or my abilities, I'll also just come out and say that, and I might sound like a total dick.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. You're keeping it real either way.
Yeah, just trying to keep it honest, especially in a scenario like this. I'm not going to talk about that at the table, but over here, I feel like it's appropriate to just keep it real. But yeah, to get back to what you were saying, just to finish on that, if a play I think is very clear, I'll happily make that play, whatever it is, for whatever the amount of money is. But I'm just discussing very close spots. Those are things where if I'm playing smaller, I'm comfortable going for it, even if I think it's a very close decision.
Right.
Whereas if I'm playing big, I err more towards the safe side.
Right. Well, you even knowing that and being conscious of it's half the battle, right?
Yeah. I hate it.
Well, it'll And you said something a minute ago that we were just talking with Billy about, and. You said I won't go broke again. And it's funny because we talked about going broke and different things and just about poker and bankrolls. And if you're listening to this out there and you're an up and comer and you're playing poker, with your mindset of the way you are, where you are so conscious of your bankroll management and not your typical degen who is just willing to just put it all on the line every minute, go broke, come back, go broke, and you referenced Andy, whoever you were talking about. But the bottom line is, and we were talking about it, and we said that type of player who, whether they're the best player or just a good player or whatever it is, if they know how to get in, get out, get paid, grind, not go too far over their head, not put themselves in positions to go broke, it's very well possible that what you said is really the secret sauce, in my opinion, to be a winning poker player, right?
Yeah.
And to do this now for a living.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think if you have a calculated approach to your role and stuff like that, the only way you could really go broke is if something external happened, something devastating.
Right.
I would have to cover my family's mortgage.
So,
or something like that,
Delineate the calculated, managing your role. What does that mean? Because I don't know if everyone understands what that means.
It just essentially means playing in a game where no matter how bad variance is, it's not going to make you broke. And there's ways to check this online. There's variance calculators and such where you could even input data such as how big the game is that you're playing, how many times you play it, how many hours, how big is your bankroll, and it'll give you an output of this is the worst standard deviation you could expect. This is the highest. This
and
is
then does it spit out also what level you should be playing at, what stakes?
Yeah. You can get that from there. Yeah, right. You can sort of put in different.
It's pretty interesting. I've never seen something like that.
Yeah, I've only used those a couple times because it's also just sort of common sense. If you have if you have $1,000, you shouldn't be playing a game where people regularly win or lose $500.
Right. I mean,
It's
obviously,
just
total common sense.
Yeah,
but it's nice to see it, too. For some people, I think they'd love to just really say, okay, here's what my bankroll is, here's what it is, and then put those numbers in and see what it spits out.
I think for recreational players, though, they've just got a couple $1,000 for that weekend, and they don't care.
Oh, that's different. They could care less.
Of course.
Yeah.
I mean, this all changes if you have any sort of external income. you know. But if we're just talking about making money from poker, then you have to be calculated. And, you know, I'll be the first to say I wasn't always, and I know a ton of people aren't. Like a ton of people. Most people don't realize just how bad variance can be. And I know you sort of learned this the hard way.
Yes.
You know, it can go so much worse than you ever imagined, and it can be quick.
Well, and it could go really bad too if you don't have the money in the bankroll and you're a fish. But even if you're like we were alluding to, because I went through, you know, I played in the toughest LA games ever, not knowing how to play really poker, like real poker, right?
Yeah.
And you can elaborate on that because you were saying you went through the same thing, and I did. But with that said, even if you're a good player. And you're playing with, you know, in your means, whatever that means, the variance still, it's a son of a bitch mentally and emotionally.
It's brutal.
Yeah, because you lose your confidence. You lose your ability to make that move you know you should make sometimes, like, or you have to battle through being able to still do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a force to be reckoned with. You know, I think Billy calls it the abyss. I don't know if he mentioned that to you guys, but
not that word, no.
That's like when you're just at the absolute bottom of variance where you just can't win. And, and when you're there, you start to play worse too.
You do. So we did talk about that. Not the abyss, but he did mention, and we talked about, well, you start, like if sometimes you're in a zone because you're running good, you're playing good, and you're just in the zone, you just know. And then there's times you're just playing horrible, but it's because a lot of times variance is just destroying you.
Yeah, you know, there's a lot of psychological aspects to that. When you're losing a ton of money, you just play worse.
Yeah. So tell me, what did you see years ago, for me 4 or 5 years ago? Because I think it's fun for the people to hear that. I talk about it all the time, so you do not have to hold back. You could like literally ham it up.
Trust me, I want nothing. I don't want to hold back at all.
All right.
Yeah, there was a hand where you sort of butchered it. It was against Garrett. And
are you talking recently or back in the day?
Way back.
Oh yeah, because I butchered one recently. But go.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, and really bad. Go.
Was it the ace queen hand?
Was it the one I bluffed min?
Yeah.
It was the worst. Yeah.
That one.
Yeah. What am I doing? What was I trying to beat? What was I trying to get the fold? I don't know what happened there.
That's all right.
Yeah, but you know because it was really bad. But what's the one you're talking about?
By the way, in your defense with that hand, it's a really, really cheap bluff, right?
Yeah.
It's only got to work like 1 out of 6 times or something. So
at
least you were bluffing on a discount there.
Yes,
but,
yes.
But there was a hand where it was ace, jack, I believe, way back on Live at the Bike, and Garrett put you all in, and it was, I think, the first time Garrett put you in a spot.
Okay.
It was like, welcome.
I don't remember what I have.
I think you have an ace.
Oh God, what a dum dum!
Just has some garbage and
jack napkin, or I folded the ace.
You folded the ace, and Garrett had air.
Yeah.
And I thought you had like a very clear call against someone who's capable of bluffing.
Probably.
But of course, at the time you don't know what's going on.
I didn't even know I was alive, bro.
I remember for like 6 months, these guys were just like eating you up, and you just kept showing up, and I was like, man, this guy's either an idiot or he's got some huge balls, or both.
Both.
But like, more credit to you, because you know, my lessons at the early stages were a lot less expensive than yours.
Yeah, and I'm sitting with Art Papazian, Garrett, Andy, Dan Zach.
Yeah.
What's this other kid's name? Jeff something or not? Like these
Torture
are the
Chamber.
Jeff. There was Gary as well.
Gary. These are all like super bot pro killers.
Friedman would play sometimes.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. He is my buddy.
You were playing against like some of the toughest.
So the game broke when you left, kind of thing.
Dude, let me tell you something. The main question was on the Friday was, is Nick coming? And if it was a yes, it was on.
And if 9 seats are filled, they'd take the 10th seat up for you.
Oh my gosh, the 10th, the dealer seat.
When you're the 10th street
they would hang me over the table and let me trapeze in. It didn't matter.
Yeah, but I mean, think about that. Like you were, you know, 4 years ago or 3 or whatever it was, you were getting just chewed up on this live stream, and fast forward to now, and you have like the best live stream probably in the world, arguably, and you have this podcast, and you definitely know what you're doing on the poker table. So, you know, it's been fun watching you as well.
Yeah, it was an evolution, and there was some dues paid. But, you know, it's like me. Once I decided to shut down my businesses for the reasons I did, and COVID and different things, and I decided that I wanted to, like, do this. I didn't know what this meant, but I wanted to be in the poker community, because, like you, I just, like, when you were going to that 1-3 game, you couldn't wait to get there. You remember the feeling of, like, oh, my God, I love this.
Yeah.
Well, that's how I feel even now when I'm driving the play and when we're doing shows and everything else. And so going through that, I was just showing up on a Friday as a businessman with, deep-ish pockets to be able to do that. But then once I started, and I had the luxury, which we talked about with Billy, to be able to see this stuff. So as I'm seeing it, I'm going, what are they doing?
Right.
I don't even know. This doesn't even compute. This is a level that now that I could see the cards, I don't even know what the hell's going on. And so then as I started really wanting to become a better player and then take it serious, it was like the best thing. I tell people this. It was literally the best 6 months of my life because no matter how embarrassing it could be, like if you're like, I didn't even care because I didn't even know it was bad. To be honest, I just thought, well, I don't know what's happening until I figured it out. But that allowed me to be able to transition, and I don't think I'm a good player. I'm just saying transition to a player enough to be able to compete in that game. Like it even got to a point where I still was the mark, but towards the end, before I left Live at the Bike, I was able starting to compete, at least hold my own, if you will.
Sure.
Right. And then I went into the Tuesday game, which was not all the pros, but being in that Friday game for 2 years or whatever it was. As I started playing the Tuesday game, I was crushing it because it was like now the level I went to, and it's just that progression where you look back. I look back on some of the hands, like I don't remember that hand, but they have videos still up, and I look at them and I go, what the fuck was I thinking? Like, how is this possible?
Right.
Like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Because you just don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's a happy ending now. I mean, you're certainly playing better, and I just saw you fold kings on the Jack High board in a 3-way with Zio and Billy, and that was, it looks easy when you could see the cards, of course. Yeah. But man, I know it's not easy.
That was a tough fold. I had $16,000 in that pot, so it was like I felt like that was my family was in there. Like how do I walk away? But and you're right, when you're watching and you can see aces, kings, flush draw, or whatever, it's like, oh, such an easy fold. But I'm telling you, when you're sitting there, you're thinking like there's so many variables of how my hand could be good there.
Yeah, and not just the fact that you think you might be beat, but there's also like a psychological discipline you have to do it. Yeah. Because just knowing isn't enough. Like actually making the decision is a whole
and then doing
battle.
It. Yeah,
of course. Like, because we all get like so frustrated that you're like, fuck it, I'm putting the money in. Yeah. Whatever. And I know I'm probably behind, but my hand's too strong. Well, you'll make some excuse to do it. So
you talk yourself into it.
Yeah. So like, deriving that you're probably beat and then actually having the discipline to like execute based on that is, I think it's very admirable and crazy to think that like it's the same guy who was getting eaten up by those sharks a few years ago. So
I'd have called.
It's been fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 100%. 100% you would have called.
I'd have broke my wrist getting my chips in. But yeah, no, I get it. I get it. Cool.
I'm curious, do you feel, you're such a big content creator. Do you feel like you're obligated to your content? Do you ever want to just like play and not record or not do content for a week? Because I notice you do like 1 or 2 vlogs a week.
Yeah, so that's a good question. When I first started the channel, I was in love with it. And slowly it shifted from just a hobby and like a creative like
outlet?
Project, outlet, to sort of like a business and an obligation. And I'm not complaining that it became that way because so many good things have come from that being the case, But yeah, like recently it's been becoming like a little bit more of a chore and something I don't always want to do. But that's why I switched it up with Joey coming on set and doing a different approach. Cause if I don't feel like things are new and like progressing and I don't feel like I'm working towards something at all times, like I'll just start to go crazy. So
yeah, that's a winning formula and a winning attitude because I really believe that because there are people that are like highly successful that have to keep evolving and changing the formula to keep themselves vested in the interest of something that they've built and created. I've did this in businesses where I've built these things to a point of like whatever, and then I just go, I'm bored. Like, and I loved it when I first started. And so you have to find a way to change and evolve and do that. So I think that's a great idea. And I think you would obviously agree with this. Well, first of all, you're popular enough now if you close that down that you would still be able to, your trajectory being known and getting in games and people invites and like you're a good player. So let's face it, you're getting invited to shows because not only are you one of the nicest people on the planet, but that wouldn't be enough. It's because you have a big following and you're popular and people want to play with you and then people watch the show that you're on. So I think it's good you're evolving, and you probably could shut it right down and still be fine. But that vlog and that business is really the engine behind your poker.
Yeah.
The ability to get in the games.
Yeah, absolutely.
And have people want to play with you.
Yeah, of course. And I also think back to, you know, those Pizza Hut days where all I ever wanted was to be Andrew, or had what he had, you know, where he makes videos and plays. And I know that I'm in a position where like a ton of like young dudes who like poker would want to be. And I know that, and thinking about that and like bringing myself back to like perspective helps my motivation, you know? Like, am I really going to bitch about, I have to like film myself gamble and then edit it, and like, come on. Like, my life is just way too sweet to like pretend that I have like... I have it tough.
It's such a sorry, and then last thing I'm gonna say, because I'll forget. It's such a, like, when you said that, it reminded me. I don't remember which song it is, but it's a Kid Rock song, okay. And he's basically, as he's singing, he's saying like, "I wish I had your life," which was the normal life, the wife, you know, stability, not being whatever. And then he goes, "But I bet you wish had mine," right? And it's just that thing, right? So you just remember that
the grass is always greener.
Yeah, but remember how hard it was. Not hard, but what a blessing it is for you to have created what you did, because not anyone could do that. So anytime you are thinking of pivoting, as you said, remember back to the Pizza Hut days, because you don't want to ever let something go that was so valuable to you. Right. Unless you're unhappy, then that's different.
No, not unhappy. And that's, you know, to answer your question, that's why I've stuck with it. And at times it is still like very enjoyable if I have a video I'm excited about or something like that. Like,
I think you should do one video as Pizza Hut Mariano, you know, just like go back in the day, deliver the pizzas, do the pizza grind.
Do a spoof.
Do a spoof,
She's the spoof girl.
You know, it's funny.
Not a Spice Girl, she's a spoof girl.
I almost wore a Pizza Hut shirt to the live stream.
Oh, wow, you should.
I still have it.
No, they got to pay you for that.
I know.
No, after you fired him, now you got to pay him.
Oh, no, they totally should have fired me. They were so right. But yeah, it's funny you say that like spoof thing, because I've been wanting to wear one of those Pizza Hut shirts to the stream. Yeah,
you should just do one episode of you delivering pizzas and going to play like 1-3.
Yeah.
And grinding.
Maybe I will, yeah.
That would be cute.
Back.
So obviously, you know, as popular as I am on YouTube, and one day we'll get you there.
Of course.
You know, you get comments from people, and sometimes they can be hurtful. They tend to like dig things up. Some of them are sleuthing into your past. Does it ever bother you when you get like negative comments, or like have you learned to deal with that kind of stuff?
No, I think it's like, not to sound like too much of a nerd, but it's all just sort of math. Right? Like, if you were to hang out with 3 people, let's say, odds of like one of them not liking you is like not very high. You know, they're probably all going to like be fans of you, you know? But if you were to like put yourself in front of 100,000 people, there's going to be thousands who don't like you. Right? So there's always like a very small slice of the pie, or maybe bigger slice, whatever it is, of people who are like going to talk shit. So naturally, the bigger the sample size, the bigger the sheer amount of people doing that.
So true.
Yeah. So it's just like, it's just bell curve, you know?
I've recently said, you know, the majority of the stuff that I see in the chat or in the chat world or in our comments, I want to say the majority, but I could even go the majority.
Majority's great.
Yeah, but there's a lot for me, like with the whole Vertucci, there's a lot for me that has been really negative.
Yeah.
But I was saying recently on one of our shows, but really the people, the masses that watching, that really are enjoying it or appreciate the show and like watching you, they don't say anything. It's mostly it's the people with
They're
the
just
negative.
tuning in.
Because I went to the WSOP, this is redundant, and literally every 4th, 5th step I took was somebody going, "Oh my gosh, the show, this is the greatest show ever been. Hey, so thank you for putting it on, picture." And so it was just like, I'm like, me? Like, you're supposed to come up and like say shitty things, you know?
Right.
And so it is really like that. So for you to recognize that's really smart, because sometimes I forget that. Yeah, it's a small percentage.
Think about it. For everyone who's like talking shit on you or something, there's probably like 10 people or so who are like a fan of you and don't say a word. And you know,
that's a really good take on it, because I think, and like, I never talk to, because I'm in my 40s, and I never like to talk to people in their 20s, like when I was your age, you know, but it is you did grow up during a different time, and kind of feel bad for younger people because you grew up in the age of the internet and social media. Because back in my day, we had rotary phones, but I didn't have exposure to social media till I was in my late 20s. And so I kind of got a self-esteem about, like, things don't really bother me when people say shitty things about me. But I notice like a lot of younger people are very sensitive to it and get, you know, like Haley, the photographer from the World Series of Poker, she closes down her social media so often from like these bad comments, and I get them all the time and it doesn't bother me. So it's like really refreshing to hear a young person.
Well, it's the only attention you get.
Yeah.
So, I mean, what are you going to do? You got to just play the cards
I just got to take what I can get. Yeah, at my age.
Yeah.
At my age. Yeah. Hey, when I was your age, I can't remember.
I'm going to go knit right now.
At 27, I'm thinking maybe the internet was just starting. When I was your age, I didn't have a cell phone, didn't have text, dial up.
When he was 50, the internet was just starting.
So, yeah, it's a different day, man.
Yeah, but actually, like, not to pretend I'm perfect, because recently I had my first actual like frustration with the internet trolls after like 3 or so years of being on YouTube. Like, it finally happened where I was like, what the fuck? You know?
What was it?
It was that Queen's hand versus Francisco.
Oh.
I was very upset to see like so much negative backlash the next day, because essentially what happened in the hand was, if I remember correctly, Mike goes all in, I call, Francisco goes all in, and then I call again.
Yeah.
So at this point, I'm like, okay, just by habit, let's run it once. Because normally in games that I play, I always go once, right? Then I'm like, wait a minute. Like, this game is really big for me. This pot is huge. It's like only the second or third ever pot I've played that's 6 figures plus. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, why am I running this once? Like, it should 100% be run it twice, just for my financial...
Yeah, it's to combat variance in that particular thing we talked about.
It's financial situation, you know?
Yeah.
And variance is going to get reduced no matter what anyone has. Whether Francisco has 7 deuce off, whether he has
when
aces.
You're running it twice, you mean, yeah.
Yeah, when you run it multiple times, like, it makes no difference what anyone in the hand has. All it's doing is
reducing
cutting variance in half. So during this like mental process I'm having in like a span of 5 seconds with my adrenaline pumping through the roof because the pot's so big, Francisco at some point shows me ace king. I tell him I have queens, or I show it or something. Mike tells me that he is in trouble when I show him my hand. So at this point I see I have the best hand.
Right.
If anything, that should make me want to run it once even more, because I have the best hand, so why not? YOLO, right. You know? But even in all this like going on, I'm like, no, like, responsibility says run it twice. Like, we need to chill out. Like, I don't have that much money. I can't be like playing $100 or $100,000 pots like on the regular. So I asked Francisco, can we run it twice? He says yes. Long story short, we couldn't because Mike has to agree. So, okay.
And Mike didn't agree?
Mike didn't agree. He always goes once. Despite the main pot being like much smaller than the side pot between Francisco and I, which we got to talk about, by the way. I feel like big side pots...
Sure.
Whatever. I don't care. It's
we could talk about it.
The ability to run it twice
Valerie.
because
She's
you
just
have
become a new owner. She's a third owner. Maybe you want to.
You're talking about running it twice because you did have a big side pot with
like
heads up side pot, right?
Yeah, let's say Mike wants to go once with the main pot, and then those two guys could decide to go twice.
That's really a weird situation.
Yeah, because think about what about this? What if I had 100K? Francisco had 100K.
I agree.
And Mike has
$300.
Yeah. Now, because there's a $900 main pot and Mike only wants to go once, we have to run this $200K on the side.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Only once.
I'm going to find out if it's a production thing or if it's a casino thing. I can't remember the reason.
It has to be a casino thing.
I'll find out.
Really odd.
And honestly, like...
He goes, we got to talk about this.
It's just something I've been thinking about, but at the end of the day, I honestly don't care that much
I understand.
about the rule, because it's fair either way, whether you go once or twice.
Yeah.
Like, it's still fair.
Interesting to find out if there's anything to do to combat that.
I think I knew, but I'm old and I forgot, but I'll figure out why that's like that.
Anyway, tying back to why I was frustrated.
Yeah.
I never thought much about that incident. The hand was over and, life goes on.
Right.
The next day I go to check out the stream and there's countless comments, or maybe it was specifically the highlight video that got uploaded from that hand because it was like the biggest hand of the night by far. So you guys do those like highlight clips, which I think are great. I go to check it out and there's a ton of comments about, oh, so shady of Mariano, so scummy that he sees Francisco's hand and wants to go twice suddenly after seeing his hand.
So the integrity portion of that tilted you because you took it personal.
I would never do something like that. And there's not even an edge to be had.
Right.
You know, like whether Francisco showed me pocket sevens and I have him like crushed, or whether he showed me aces, like all I wanted to do was just like chill out with the financial variance there. Like,
yeah.
That's it. And so people were saying that I was trying to get some sort of advantage or give him a disadvantage or I don't know what. I said once out of habit, realized I'm playing a massive pot for like my financial position. I was like, wait, let's go twice. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with negotiating how many times to run a hand.
Zero wrong with it.
You can say once, you can say 3 times, you can say twice, and you can change your mind 8 fucking times.
That's
it doesn't
right.
matter, you know, like, so yeah, that was a little bit frustrating. I was like, come on. And I was happy to see Bart Hansen. He left a comment on that clip as well, saying like, for everyone here mentioning that it's scummy, like it's not in any way. And he sort of explained like the reasoning behind it, which was like a small comfort because Bart is always like the voice of reason. You know? Like,
Bart's
he'll
the
tell you the
best.
truth.
Yeah, like I would say like he's probably one of the most logical, straightforward dudes in poker, and you guys would probably agree with that. Bart is like,
I love him.
Yeah.
He's a good friend of mine. Yeah. Well,
Okay,
I mean, good as in like within poker. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like, does Bart ever say something that's not correct? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like hardly ever.
Totally.
Yeah. So that was like the first time it ever got me. People questioning like me,
your intentions, your integrity.
They were like insinuating that
character.
I'm trying to angle Francisco or something like that, and like I pride myself as like a player who is never trying to take those sorts of edges, you know. So that
Dude, I took a 3-week beating because I handed someone $300 in the hand with Rampage that we were playing like $150,000 pot.
It's just ridiculous.
It's like the last thing on my mind, but it's just the way it is.
They don't understand like the culture of also like higher stakes games and such. You know, like a very common etiquette thing is like if you stack someone, you don't ask for their little chips. You know, if someone has like $200 left in $25 chips.
Yeah, or yellows or something. You just don't ask.
You don't ask for those. You know what I mean? Or you don't ask them like, what did you have? Or like, this is just like basic unspoken rules. You know what I mean? And like, that is one of those things.
Yeah, I talk about those often, and they are so missed by most of the people watching. Like, they just don't.
Because a lot of these people,
they're like
they live in this like 2-5 environment where like rules are king and
2-5 players
and
God,
etiquette, like
so annoying.
it's just like etiquette goes out the window a lot.
Yeah.
In like smaller stakes games, and I'm not saying that's the case for everyone, but that's just the nature of small games, you know. So
yeah, right.
So they try to apply that rationale to like you paying them the
massage gate. Yeah.
It's just so like funny that it's almost not even worth discussing. Kind of like me angling Francisco.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
You know?
Like at first, it caught me off guard, and it was such an integrity issue that I bristled like you. Like, are you out of your minds? Like, you know, like I felt like what? Like, how dare you? And then as it matured and time went by, I'm like, what do I care? It's so stupid. I know the way it is. Why would I care? You know, so it's like that.
Of course.
It just wears off. Like,
and if I remember correctly, you paid him back next time.
I made a big public thing of it.
I was at the table and I thought it was one of the funniest fucking things, dude. You were like, hey guys, I need
the camera on me. Here's the 300. But I go, no, it wasn't 200 for all you idiots. It was 3.
You should have paid him back with $1 bills rolled up.
Or pennies.
Pennies would have been great.
Right. I didn't think of it.
Yeah, the whole thing was hilarious, but yeah, that was like the only time I ever got upset with like internet trolls or anything like that.
But so. I sincerely believe that most press, whatever it is, whether it's negative or good, is usually good. Ends up being good, because then the hysteria puts eyes on you, and then you become more popular. And it's not just you; it's at anyone. And then, unless it's an egregious thing, like typically it ends up working to your benefit because the show gets more popular, you get more popular, people look at your vlog, and you know.
Yeah, I guess. But like, as someone who's never really cared much about how much online traction I get, like. That aspect of it was like indifferent to me, you know. I don't ever want people.
But they're looking at it in a vacuum in that one instance. If you were a scumbag player, it would show in many other instances, but it hasn't, right? It was just like it was the way you just said. You were just like didn't know whether you were going to run it once or twice in that quick moment.
Yeah.
So it wasn't an egregious thing.
Yeah, of course. Like, I always want to win, but I want to do it in a way that like I can sleep at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Which leads me to my next controversial question.
Go.
So my question to you is on the topic of your poker persona, your integrity, how you handle yourself at the table, right? How you act. I have a source, and I'm a journalist, so I'm not going to reveal my source. I have a source that has shared some information with me that you have went into the lab and watched almost every possible hand you can of Garrett, so you can emulate him on the felt,
Baby
in
Garrett.
hands, how you play, how you put yourself maybe in positions to get seats. I don't know. Go ahead.
It's funny that you say that because I've told maybe 2 or 3 people in the world that I've done this. So.
I have my ear very low to the ground. I have my sources.
Yeah.
I know other things about you I would never say.
He has baby pictures of you.
They're not baby pictures, but go on.
He contacted your mother before the show, too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like a secret or anything.
Well, not anymore.
Right, yeah. I'm not like upset at all that you brought it up. It's just not something
You could just deny it.
Don't deny it.
No, you could.
Just own it. Be vulnerable.
You could deny it.
I'm owning it.
But I don't think you would, so that's why I asked.
No, I'm actually in the process of getting access to those files again because they've been made unavailable. So, but anyway.
Have they?
Yes.
How?
They're just all gone.
What about the paywall thing?
Yeah, well, if you're okay with talking about Live at the Bike.
Oh, you can say their name. We talk about them all the time.
Okay,
yeah, Live at the Bike.
must not be named.
No, name everything.
Yeah. So Live at the Bike used to have a paywall where it was just like $20 a month. You have access to their entire catalog.
They shut that.
They shut it down?
So it was shut down for like 3 months because Bally's took ownership. If I could be getting this wrong, by the way.
Yeah,
they
just
did.
spit it. Who cares?
So Bally's took ownership. Website's down. I'm like, whatever.
Interesting.
I'm like, whatever. I'll check them out when they're back. They come back and the website's completely revamped, and they have like 3 live streams and a bunch of like little clips like you guys do, but nothing past like 2021, like backwards.
Oh, so they really
gone.
did take it.
And I asked my guy at the bike, hey, what's up? Like, I'm paying $20 a month for this shit. I want my stuff. And he's like, they're gone because production was embarrassed by the quality.
Who told you that, or you can't say? Someone told you? It doesn't matter.
I don't think it's a problem if I say, but I'd rather just not in case.
Yeah,
it is.
don't.
So anyway, which I don't get because I think those old streams are great.
Yeah, those are
classic.
so historical.
They're historical. Yeah.
I used to watch Live at the Bike like freaking 10 years ago, and it was like the show was what it was back then. We have all accepted that it's evolved, and like it's so weird for them to get rid of those shows.
I mean, like it or not, they're like the OGs, right? They're the reason that the Lodge started, and every stream in Texas started.
Mark Hansen and David Tuchman had their start there, jumping out of a limo in their blazers, for the intro. You guys remember that?
Yeah, so yeah. Like, I guess just to circle back to your question, those streams don't exist anymore.
Right.
Or if they do, they're hidden somewhere.
Yeah, they keep them somewhere, yeah.
Yeah, now the website is like...
But you have a contact that's going to let you go back and research.
Back because so this sort of ties back to around the time that I started taking it more seriously, which is right around jackpot time. I wanted to I've just always been very competitive and stuff that I put like a lot of time and energy into, right? Which I think is natural for like most men. Yeah. So I wanted to become elite and.
Well, you're stepping into the abyss. Go finish your thought while you're still alive.
So yeah, I just wanted to like become great. I didn't just want to win a little bit. Right. And I'm still like very ambitious. Yeah. So I was like, well, how the hell do I do that? So I started watching like what I thought were the best players, and it turns out like I was right about who's the best players. So I was watching I should say, live poker, because there's a ton of like online people who are like infinitely better than but
live poker instead of internet robots.
Right. So I started watching every stream with Garrett, who I thought played very well. Turns out he has gotten a lot better. I'll say that.
I was going to say, if you didn't say, he is better than he was when he was playing those days.
It's amazing that a guy who's accomplished so much is still hungry to improve, right? Because Garrett he doesn't have to get any better, but he still does, and it's kind of freaky. It's kind of spooky.
Right.
That man freaks me out. But anyway, so he was on there. Art was on there. Chris Brewer, Gary, Jeff, Brian Kim.
Yes.
And Andy, just so many players who I thought were like just incredibly good.
They were the best.
And I just didn't understand what the hell they were doing, just like you, Nick. I was like, why is it that like if Art opens early position and gets called by the big blind and the board comes like ace, 8, deuce, why is he betting pot sized on the flop? But then if he opens the button and the big blind calls, same scenario, and it comes ace-8 deuce. He's betting like a third or a quarter pot.
Yeah.
I'm like,
I was going to say a third, yeah.
I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Right.
What is that? You know, or like, why are people like betting small on the flop and then betting really big on the turn? Like, what? Who made that up? I don't understand.
Board
that.
texture.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I was like, what is
Position,
this
yeah.
shit? Or Garrett was like often betting more than the size of the pot, which I thought was like criminal.
Yeah.
You know, and I was like, so yeah, like I became intrigued and like
You should come play some 1-2 games with me in Cleveland. You'll be like, what?
It's funny. I've played in Cleveland actually.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
But yeah, like I just became obsessed. I was watching it all the time. I would watch it during like school. I would watch it at home. I would watch it in the freaking shower. I would just like have it up there. I'd watch it while I fall asleep.
Who did you watch the most while you're in the shower? Was it Garrett?
I can't tell you that, Nick.
Anyways, go on.
Anyway,
I know it wasn't me, but go.
In here.
All right.
He's obviously made enough money to have a TV in his shower, so
I'm probably thinking it's his phone, but go.
So yeah, I just like
Garrett just is gonna watch this and be like, "Damn, these guys that I play with are like watching me while they're in the shower."
Totally.
I am willing to bet like crazy amounts of money that Garrett will not watch this. So
Yeah,
I'm safe.
well, thanks. Thanks. Fucking
I'll
honesty,
tag him
bro.
in this. I'll tag him in the
Honesty.
video, and
I'm keeping it real.
I'll send him a
no
message.
chance he's sitting through an hour of my dumbass speaking.
I'll just clip this part.
I might not even
I'll
rewatch
clip
it.
this part and send it to him.
Yeah. So yeah, that's like how I guess improved the most. I would say that was like where my biggest learning curve came from, is watching these guys play and trying to derive what they were doing. Obviously,
Makes sense.
the problem with doing this, right, is it's not like basketball or sports in general, where you can watch what a great athlete is doing and understand why it's happening and try to reach that, right? Because in poker, someone could do something and you have no fucking clue why they're doing that. So there was no explanation. So I had to sort of like attempt to reverse engineer why these guys were doing what they were doing, and I still don't know a ton of it, but I figured out a lot of it. And
so is it different than like a GTO strat than running solvers? Does Garrett give you different outcomes?
Garrett strays away from like what you would call GTO play very, very, very often, but he's doing that knowing what the baseline GTO play is.
Right.
Which you could argue about that all day, whether or not that's optimal. A lot of players would say that it's not, because him doing that allows other players to capitalize on that. Mm-hmm. So he's doing things that if someone wanted to or had the potential to, could punish him for it. But Garrett's smart enough to understand when he's up against a player who's capable of doing that, then he strays back to baseline for the most part.
Oh, so true.
So that guy is just really fucked up, man. Yeah. So
He's a machine. He's
a
AI.
machine. Like he knows when he's up against someone who's going to do that to him. For example, like whenever I would watch him play with Art, that's some of the most theoretically correct poker I've ever watched Garrett play. And watching that guy, it's
he won't expose him, put himself in that position in that moment.
Yeah.
He will, like you say, stray back to the fundamentals.
He'll stray back to the fundamentals, and it's kind of like Art watching that. No pun intended. It's like an Art watching Garrett play, because he has this dance between like correct and incorrect.
Yeah, he knows when to go outside of the yellow lines. He knows when to veer out and come back in.
Yeah, and so that's why I focus the most on watching him. And for more of like a theory approach, I would watch a ton of like Dan Zach and Art and
Brian.
BK. Yeah, Brian. So yeah, I sort of learned my approach towards poker from watching all those guys, and in the games I played where it was like 5-10 or 2-5 or whatever, like I was often trying to like do the Garrett approach, because so many people are doing so many random things, you know what I mean? At 2-5, that I was like, okay, like sticking a theory here makes absolutely no sense often. So that's why, a lot of people say like I try to play like Garrett or all that. Like, yeah, it's because I fucking do.
So let me
because it's true.
let me ask you, since you've been
fucking do,
since you're so well studied, are there spots, and like I feel like this is kind of an obvious answer, but I think the viewers will like a breakdown of the answer. Like, are there spots where professional poker players are losing EV because they're sticking to like such a fundamental GTO strat live? I'm talking about live.
Sure, of course, yeah. Yeah, that happens all the time. Like I watch players who I think are like incredibly good. For example, like I don't know, just to throw like a random guy out there.
You can say my name. It's fine. Go ahead.
let's say art, right? Like art is probably actually almost definitely fundamentally stronger than Garrett in terms of theory and just, although Garrett's great, art is like a fucking robot, you know?
Yeah.
And so, but there's spots where Garrett is making ridiculous amounts of money in a hand that art wouldn't. So, you know, you can make the case that art is playing theoretically more correct in a certain situation, but at the end of the day, Garrett's got more dollars out of the pot. So whether one guy's doing it right and the other guy's doing it wrong, you could debate like all day.
And we kind of had that talk with Billy about what makes someone a great player, and it doesn't have to be like that. I did the pushback on like, you know, could Garrett be like the great? It's like, yeah, maybe, but like, how do you know? There's so many people playing and there's so many things. But Billy did say like the way he calculates like a great player over another player is dollars. Just pure dollars. Their ability to get themselves the seat, however they do that, so they can like make their game in a way where, and their personality a way where they're going to get that seat, which Garrett has done. And then Garrett again will put on and go outside of the yellow lines and do things in a hand and exploit and do things that the players want to watch. I mean, the viewers want to watch. And so all this, and then when all it's said and done is, if he's got most of the money, then that speaks. And so that's basically what you're saying, which is paralleled exactly to what we talked about with DGAF.
Yeah. I mean, there's just because someone is better theoretically at playing Texas Hold'em doesn't mean that they're a better poker player than a guy who's not so fundamentally strong. You know,
it's
like,
really true.
So I think that even though there are a lot of, like I said, technically stronger players than Garrett, guys who would probably eat him alive in an online scenario if you were playing like, you know, some
that
of the
was to my point
games.
What I was saying to Valerie and to maybe Billy is that like Garrett would adapt. He wouldn't want to, and he probably, there's not enough EV, but he could go into a game with 7 other killers, GTO fundamentally just robot killers, right? And adapt. You know, he could. He's smart enough. He could. He wouldn't have the same results, but he would sure be a winning player, I'm sure, because he's a smart guy and he's a great poker player. But because he's a great poker player, he puts himself in these other spots, right? And that's the point.
So speaking of spots, you know, on this topic, Hustler Casino Live plays so big. I mean, versus your big blind, and
that's huge.
And like, is that game actually solved? Like, is there a solver that can run like 2,000 big blinds for your hand?
You know, there's a ton of things that are like making that game.
Try to put the ante game in a solver. That makes no sense.
There's all sorts of like.
Your opening range is like 99% of hands.
Yeah, you know, the blinds are 5 and we open to 300. It makes sense.
When there's a 35K button straddle, you know, it changes things a little bit. But there are concepts that could be applied across all these games, even if they're not exactly like a 2 big blind studied output scenario. But yeah, I think like I said, there's still concepts that apply for sure.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I was going to ask you is, and I've asked every player that plays in Hustler Casino, when you're watching, who are your favorite players to watch on the stream? I'm sure you're going to say Garrett and whoever else. And then
we already know it's Garrett.
Yeah, that's okay. And who are the toughest players that you played against and why?
Yeah, that's another good question. I will say I really like to watch Art play. I wish he was around more. You know, I'm sure there's reasons he's not, but I know he travels a lot as well. He's in Armenia like a ton, I think. Yeah. But anyway, I love watching him play. Another guy I really enjoy is Brian Kim, although he's in Australia, correct? That's where he
lives, yes.
Yeah, that's where he lives. So yeah, Garrett is obviously my personal favorite. I think that's obvious for most people. Yeah. You know? And there's a reason for it. He's just like a master at work. And eventually, you know, he'll probably quit or retire or something. So I'm enjoying it while he's around. And on that same topic, who's the scariest players that I play against is probably this guy named, and I don't know why, but I played against a guy named Edgar at the bike a few times, and it was always small games, 5-10 and such, but something about this guy just like sends shivers down my spine. And it's funny because when he sees me now, he's like, dude, like you made it, you're doing great, blah blah blah. And I'm like,
but he's always had your number.
I'm still yeah, exactly. He's just always playing better than me, and like he never seems like psychologically shook. But I never thought I would meet someone tougher to play against until I played with Garrett.
Yeah.
Garrett is by far like, it's just the sheer amount of like how much more money he has than I do. You know what I mean? Like he's willing to
for now.
He's willing to play power poker and put you at your stack at risk.
Yeah, and
I'm
okay with people being way richer than me, you know, but when I'm confident that like in my poker abilities I can outmaneuver them, then it sort of compensates for like this power poker that they can do, you know, because there's a ton of guys with way more money than me on the streams. I think last time I played on stream at Hustler, I was by far like the brokest person on the table, and I felt totally okay. Or actually, that was with Garrett. I meant the day before.
Got it.
But then when it's Garrett, he's like technically stronger than me in like almost every single department, probably every single department of that. Everything you could do at poker, right?
Right.
He's better than me at every single thing.
Yeah.
So it's really like tough to go up against someone who like long term, you know, you're just losing to.
Totally.
You know what I mean? I don't often play against people that I feel that way towards. I feel like almost every time I sit at a table, whether it's true or not, my mental state is like long term, like I'm just killing everyone here. If we were to somehow like simulate this for 10,000 hours, like I just have all the chips and no one has any chips. But that's not the case with him. I feel the opposite. I'm like, if I play long enough, like Garrett's going to take my money.
And I'm just asking this because you said it. And if you do, I love it if you say yes. I could care less. I like when someone just tells the truth. Do you feel if you took Garrett out of the equation that you would have all the chips at the Hustler Casino and all the players?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really bullish. I like it, though.
It's probably 100% bullshit.
Who cares? But you believe that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
He's got the secret sauce.
Yeah.
Remember, you and I talk about the mindset that people have, the winning mindset.
I don't think there's
a
negative to that at all. I'm just shocked you said that. Yeah, because then you had to tell the truth.
I love that you answered it honestly.
I'm just keeping it real. Yeah, like I don't like talking about stuff like that. Really,
I got it, but you know, at least you'll answer the truth and not like dance around it.
But
give me some
people want to
bullshit
know
answer.
this kind of stuff. People don't want soft answers.
I just like I've put in more work than almost everyone sitting there. You know, like I've worked my ass off the last 4 years trying to like get decent at this stupid card game, and these guys are probably destroying me in other areas of life, as they should. You know, like different business ventures or networking or whatever the case is. You know, where like I'm completely lacking in life, but me personally, I've worked towards this particular craft.
So you're gonna claim it.
So I fucking hope that like I'm in a situation where I'm, you know, better equipped to do well than they are.
Sure.
You know, it's just like input and output.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years?
You know, I things could change, but what I've always wanted since I started playing cards is to like reach the very top of LA poker and cash game poker. So yeah, I hope that I'm like battling with the best in 5 years, and hopefully it's Garrett if he sticks around, you know, and if he doesn't, that's fine too. Like, but you know, I know that he's got other things on his plate now, and he's sort of done his grind. Like, I've heard him mention talking about like having kids and starting a family and whatnot, and poker no longer being his priority. So I don't know if he'll still be around, but yeah, I hope to be like battling still in 5 years if you guys will have me. For sure.
Well, I think we'll be there, and we'll definitely have you.
I'll think about it. Yeah.
But you gotta keep vlogging.
Yeah, I'll definitely.
You gotta build up those numbers. We'll get you on, and then, you know, obviously you're never gonna change who you are, because you're very nice to have around. You're nice to all the players. You're respectful. So I don't see why not.
Yeah,
and I'm curious, like, what vlogs you like. I know you said Andrew Nemi, but who are some of your favorite vloggers? Let's get some shout outs.
Yeah, so I used to, well, I guess we'll start with poker. I used to watch poker vlogs almost exclusively when I was like falling in love with the game. Now I watch like 0 poker vlogs, and the only poker I want to watch is like high stakes cash games, you know, like interesting hands and such. But I'm just so sick of watching like all these dudes play like 2-5 and 5-10 and get some value and go home, you know, like, so
double up and go home.
Yeah, exactly. Like doing exactly what I was doing. So, but that being said, like I still enjoy every single Andrew Nemi video he puts out. That guy is still like the godfather to me in terms of like poker vlogging. I feel like he, even though the Trooper has been around longer, I feel like Andrew really unlocked this like creative element with poker vlogging, and he just has such an artistic approach. Like, so yeah, I would say his is like my absolute favorite, and that's about all the poker I watch. But I watch a lot of like chess for entertainment. and stuff. So.
One thing you said that I just thought of, I don't know what made it pop in my head. It popped in when you said it the first time, and then I forgot to ask it. There was one hand at the bike that they actually put up as a clip.
Yep.
But this is something I've never told old Valerie over here because she loves gossip and she would press me. But there's a particular player there that literally there's not one person in poker that I dislike, and there's a person, right? And so there was a hand that I was in with him that I actually put on my Instagram and my link because it was like such a troll, like to put it up there. And not video, I can't find it anymore. No, I'm not asking you to get it for me because I wouldn't do that or else they'll never give you this password. So just know that I don't want it, but it's gone and it bugs me because it's my favorite hand played because of who it was against. And like, I'm just so bummed that they took it, and they took it off for him.
Okay. We'll talk about it and I'll see if I can. If I can.
Well, you're drawing dead.
He complained, and then
I don't know. I'm assuming because I've looked for it for a reason, something, and then I'm like, oh my god, I can't find it, and I'm not very good with technology, so I text someone that is, and I said,
that's an understatement.
Find this hand because maybe it's me, and they're like, no, it's gone, and I know it's gone because that I always brought it up, because it goes back and forth, and I'm so bummed that I just don't have it. I wish I had saved it, but you can't really because once they take it down, it's gone, right? Unless I recorded it. So, anyways, it just made me think of that, and it's so bummed.
Yeah. I mean,
that was it.
Those streams are legendary, man.
I know.
Me and the producer are just looking at each other, shaking our heads like,
why?
Things just don't get lost from the internet. You can find them. Like,
no, what I mean by lost from it, but I mean I can't watch it on someone's YouTube channel if they take it off unless I had recorded it. Am I wrong about that, Clint? Possibly. Hey, listen.
We'll get to the bottom.
He said possibly, so that means there is a chance.
You know what? Just put something out on 2+2.
All right, then fucking find it for me, you two.
The 2+2 analytics
geniuses.
Nerds will find it.
Internet geniuses. All right, whatever. So last question I have, unless old Val has one. Why do you still live in the boondocks, and do you plan on changing that? Because like, what a ride! I won't say where because that's your personal business, but like you live in the boonies. Like,
you live in Stockton,
don't you want to live closer to like casinos? Since
you drive to LA, commute to LA from Stockton.
Well, you know, it's funny you bring that up because I'm in the process of moving.
Oh, you are?
Yeah, to Anaheim.
Oh. That's right here. You can go to Disneyland.
Right. It's
like
not,
anytime.
Right. It's not set in stone. It's actually happening like.
Buying a house.
He's going to sleep in his car in the parking lot.
I'm not buying a house. Just renting an apartment, like a short lease.
When are you guys getting married?
Still.
She going to watch this?
Yeah.
Megan,
for sure.
when are you guys getting married? Go ahead. Let's see if you answer this one honestly.
Pass for now.
I hope you get in trouble.
No trouble. She knows. I mean, we're just like undecided on a few different like logistic things. So, and I've told her like, I don't want to like rush into marriage just yet. Although
how long you been with her?
8 years.
Listen,
but still a virgin.
I'm going to ask the questions I want.
No. Because I told you, every relationship has its own equation.
I'm doing a gossip show.
No, I know.
Okay?
But like marriage isn't the best goal.
Listen,
being a good, healthy relationship, that's the goal. Don't listen to this old man.
Mariano. We're not going to listen to her right now because what she wants to do is talk ideology with me and relationships. What I want to do is embarrass you.
Go for it.
And I'm on a gossip show. Okay, so I'm looking to embarrass you and create heat with your girl. I don't care what you do.
I think the whole marriage market's a racket,
I don't care if you get married. I don't care if you're in an open relationship someday. Listen, I'm going to go on.
Don't spend $50,000 on an engagement ring. That's not what's important.
If you guys become poly, I don't care what it is. But while I'm on this show and I have this mic and that fucking sign says a Nick Vertucci show, then I am going to embarrass my guests. But anyways, I think that's enough.
No, it's totally fair. Yeah. I just, the one argument I would make is I think there's a lot of couples who are married that are much less happy and more fucked up.
Yeah, that's if we
people who are dating.
That's if we're like doing. That's if we're doing.
Can I say
that's if we're doing like a real serious discussion.
Can I say something?
But I'm not.
Can I say?
She is.
I'm just being a pussy, Nick. There you go.
Okay, go, Veronica.
Got it.
So look, I think it's more important, if we can be serious for a second, it's more important to have a really good relationship with good communication where you're happy at the end of the day. Yeah. It's not about a big blingy ring. It's not about like if you have kids or don't, if you get married or don't. It's whatever the two of you want to do and what's making you guys happy. Don't listen to this one because it's not like I think the whole marriage market's a racket. It's not it shouldn't be about a $50,000 ring and a $100,000 Reddit.
Why do I think this is becoming about you.
I don't think it's about me. I just think that the whole wedding market is like ridiculous. And I think women are like, are trained almost to think like, oh, my marriage day, my wedding day is the most important day of your life. No, like your actual partner, the relationship you have with them, that's important. Don't listen to him.
No, I agree with you. And I think Megan and I are on the same page about what you just said. But
him and Megan are on the same page.
I just have two things to say. Number one is...
He's so sassy today.
Valerie,
I can't get it out.
I have one thing to say. Do you feel better?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'm glad. And the second thing I have to say is I could care less what you do. I was just trolling you.
I know.
All right.
I know that's
so.
true.
He's gonna, when you go, he's gonna be like, I can't believe they're not getting married in a church.
No, I'm not.
I'm so disappointed. That's what he's gonna say. He's never coming back on Hustler.
No, I mean Nick's probably gonna pay.
He's coming back on Hustler. You're never coming back on this show. So I don't care what you own, even if you own the poker show. I mean, anyways, go ahead.
I was gonna say give it a few more streams, and Nick will probably pay for the engagement ring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
then you should get a nice ring. Yeah.
Bang, bang. Well, you're going to have all the money so you can afford it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying?
Like I said, dude, I'm almost 100% sure that that's absolute bullshit. It's just my mentality. Like
I dig it.
Yeah.
And with that said, you will have the final word. She will not. This is the Nick Vertucci Show. I am Nick Vertucci. This is Mariano. Whatever. And this, again, for a reminder for her, is the Nick Vertucci Show. Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
we both do appreciate it. You've been an amazing guest. I actually thought this was going to be really boring.
Really?
Yes.
Thanks
I'm going to
a lot,
admit.
Nick.
I told her, I said, I don't know what to ask this fucker. He just seems like he's got, nothing interesting to say. This was one of the best shows ever. Thank you for coming.
It was awesome meeting you. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys for having me.
And Envy out.